Hey everyone, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. Thank you for joining me on this platform, and thank you so much for coming to get your brows shaped by yours truly. So it's been a pleasure meeting you and having you trust me to do your eyebrows. So thank you. I've been shaping eyebrows for almost 25 years at the Anastasia Beverly Hills Salon. So if you haven't made the appointment, please do so. Come by, get your brows shaped by me, and I will definitely give you some tips along the way. And so yeah, thank you for trusting me. And for this brow today is going to be another really great transformation. And I hope you get some tips along the way. Definitely subscribe if you haven't done so. And I always urge everyone to share this with anyone you know that can be helped by some of the brow tips that I give you. I am all about shapes, and I've had some of you guys send me messages that my brows are too dark and it just kind of doesn't look right to you. I will probably always do my brows dark. Well, not always, but most of the time, simply because I want you to see the shape that I am trying to show you guys, because I believe that the shaping is the most important thing. Of course, I give you tips in what color to use along the way. Focus on the model that I will be showing you, because the color I will choose for her is her correct color. Her brows are nice and full, but they're not densely full. They're not as full as she'd like. She used to have them very thin and used to get them tweezed over and over again, very thin. So that's why she's got a lot of sparseness and gaps throughout the eyebrows. And so you have to go to someone like myself, someone that really knows what they're doing, because you don't want to have all that hair that she grew out taken out again, right? So there's a way to leave some of the hairs behind where it doesn't look silly. So we don't want the brows to look silly, but I'm going to leave her the hairs that she did grow out where it's like kind of her guideline, her stencil, if you will. So it's going to make it a lot easier to fill them in. And there are other things I'm going to point out to you along the way. So without further ado, let's bring in this model and how I'm going to make her grown out sparse brows fuller. Okay, so like I said, nice full eyebrows, right? She, you can clearly see that outline, the thin, darker part. That's where she used to have the brows, just always. I don't know always, but for a long time. But she did manage to grow a good part of it out where it was easy for me to fill them in. And now I will point out a few things. We all have one side a little different than the other, and we all have a favorite. And if you look at her eyebrows, can you guess what her favorite is? I will point out her favorite in just a second, but just so that you can see, oh, there it is. Her favorite is the one that the hairs grow up. So it all just naturally gravitates all the way up. The hairs are all kind of in that same direction. So, and the other side, the hair, the root at the top area grows straight down. And so it just kind of has a sad kind of look compared to the other side, but it's not down and sad by any means. Now I'm drawing an outline where she used to actually have them. And you can see right underneath that outline I just made, all that hair used to be taken off. And then the other side, she's got a lot more hair on that side than the one I just did. We all have more hair growing, more follicles, if you will, on one side of the eyebrow than the other. This side that I just filled them in, she's got a lot more hair. So getting rid of the hairs underneath that outline is going to look much easier. It's going to look like it makes more sense once I remove that hair. But as you can see how I went lower on one side and higher on the other? Because that's the other thing. Most of our eyebrows, or most of us, have that uneven where one side's a little higher than the other. So the brow color that I just placed above, where it's a little bit high, it's naturally lower compared to the other side. So if you just looked at one eyebrow than the other, then it's like, oh, that's not really low. But if you just look at one together, you're like, oh, I can see how low that is. So we're going to adjust that by, of course, shaping and waxing all the hairs below that lower side, that lower side where I just went in right there. Now I will be using myself as a model because I have an old brow tattoo. That's why you see that dark color on me. So you will see a good shape, hopefully. It's kind of hard to sometimes like really focus on doing my eyebrow and talking to you guys, but I will try to do my best. But the good thing is that you'll have her brow looking the best, hopefully. Okay, so hopefully you guys will think it's the best. But this is how you're going to get that tip. Try that yourself. draw a little line above that natural hairline where you think it's a little lower compared to the other side. And the brow that you naturally have it higher, you want to go slightly below. So that's where, and leave it there and see how you can fill it in. So this is nicely shaped, right? Now, the side that is her favorite, where it's a little bit more fuller, you can tell by just looking at her eyebrows, she's got more hair on that. It's more densely populated. I usually say that to clients and then they're like, oh, okay. But the area that I'm pointing at right now with the white line, that's where it's a lot more sparse. But because I left those trails of hair underneath, it's gonna make it that much easier for her to fill them in. So it's like almost connect the dots, like, or follow the hair, right? So the trick is now, how do you fill them in without looking so garish, right? So dark and just too much, where it's so penciled in. The other side where it's thick, she could just probably not have to fill them in. Like, it looks good enough to where she can get away with no makeup. But the part that's sparse, obviously you want to put a little bit of color in there, but the hair that's more dense, you still need to put some color so that there's some balance to the brow color. So I'm using a highlighter here. I just grabbed this one right here. This is the matte shell I'm using, but I believe on her I'm using the Pro Pencil eyeshadow base, which is an eyeshadow base too. I will list all the products down below. But if you put this right underneath the brow line, even the brow that is nicely thick, there's no color in there, just by doing that makes such a world of difference, right? Where if she doesn't have a lot of time, even the brow that's very sparse, if you do that highlighter, it's almost like she can get away with it and be off. That's if you have no time, absolutely none, to fill in the eyebrows, okay? So that is just the best tip I have. You can do this highlighter before, after, during. It doesn't matter. There's not a wrong or right way, but I believe that it helps a lot when you do this before. So my eyebrows, I did put a little bit of makeup concealer over the tattoo, so it's gonna look a little, not only dark, but just kind of off, a little strange. But you will still see the difference already from this side to the other? Big difference, right? So just by placing this underneath, it not only gives it a nice clean look, I didn't go in perfectly, but it kind of serves for me a stencil as well. So I'm going to use a brush 18, which you guys will always see me use. Now I went in a little too much right here. Okay, so, and you know what? You don't really have to do this immediately. You can just put that highlighter on, even though it's not blended. You can worry about that later, just as long as you get that highlighter on there. So on my model, my client, I'm using the Perfect Pencil in medium brown. That is the perfect color for her, aside from it being a perfect pencil. So look what I'm doing here. I'm holding the pencil. Yes, I'm doing her eyebrows from the back, but even on yourself, you want to try holding it this way or lay it down, but don't hold it like you're poking your eyebrows. So that way you just get it right at that edge and you keep the pencil sharp. If you just do this, you flatten out the point, if you will. So like I said, right here, if you see that line, what you're doing is going right, say above that highlighter line. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So I'm holding it at an angle. You could do this way or you could do it sideways. But as long as you just get it right here. Now, again, I'm using granite, which is a lot darker even for me. I would typically go with the ash brown or even a medium brown if I feel like I want it really much lighter for my hair coloring and my skin tone. So skin tone has something to do with the choice of color as well. So right over here. Now, up in the front, you notice how I'm just doing this because I just want a light application. Very, very light in the direction that the hair is growing. So that's just something to consider, okay? So now at the top, I'm gonna freeze it also at the top area, but everything is just light pressure. Even on her, even though the color is perfect for her, the harder you press, the darker the pencil will get. So the most important thing to remember is the shade. The shade is what's important. So here at the top, I don't know if I've already done her eyebrows at the top, but looks like I have. But at the top, I'm laying it down, or again, lay it sideways. It's all about laying it down. I'm going right at that base here. So right over here, and then you're going above. Always above, and especially on this side, you don't have to go that much higher. I'm actually going right on the hairline. I'm not going above, just on the hairline, maybe even a little bit below, because this one's naturally higher like her. It's naturally higher. Okay, so now on the other side, I'm putting actually a little bit heavier pressure on this side of the eyebrow because she's got so many more gaps on that side that the pressure is a little bit heavier, so that way there's more color. Now up there, see how the hair is growing down? That's really important because I'm pressing harder and I'm going up higher, just much higher than I did on this side. So you notice I'm going slow motion here. So that way you guys really understand that I'm applying heavier pressure and I'm going higher, not higher above the hairline, but I'm really emphasizing that area so it'll just kind of get a little bit more lifted. So I'm pressing and I'm pressing, again, dark color, but I'm just going a little bit more. I'm focusing above here much more than I was focusing above there. So that way it just kind of goes up higher. So it just has a slightly more of a balanced, even look. So again, the color is dark so that you can see what I'm doing. And that's really it. And underneath, remember I showed you, this is area that has more of the sparseness, the gaps. So I'm gonna try my left hand. I'm right-handed, but I would try this side and I'm pressing a little bit harder. Very important. Now we're just assuming I got a lot more gaps here. So yeah, right over here. And that's it. Up in the front again, just very lightly. I'm barely even applying much pressure, especially with this pencil. I don't want that dark, right? But I mean, it's going to be dark anyway, but that's okay because I just want really for you guys to pick up this tip. Now you can go back to the brush 18 and just smooth anything out if it needs to be smoothed out, if it's too thick or it's just too, I don't know, you got the pencil in the wrong area. This is everything. I love this guy. And the spoolie brush. Look at that before and after. How good is that? That is so good. I mean, it doesn't look overly drawn, does it? And the pencil is right where it needs to be. Yes, you can still see a little bit of the pencil, but the important thing is that it just looks more natural. Now you can still see the unevenness, right? Where that's one side of the eyebrow, the hairs are growing down, the other side, the top eyebrow, the hair is growing up, but that's okay because you know what? That's naturally how it is. And so she's just being natural about it, right? So yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, yeah, mine's a little dark. It's definitely on the dark side, but that's okay because I hope you guys are seeing how I use the pencil and how I want you to try to use your pencil now. So again, this is granite, but I would definitely go lighter on myself, but on her, perfect, right? So let me know if this helped you guys. Definitely subscribe and definitely share this with anyone you know that can use these tips, really. So give me a like if you like this before and after transformation, and if you've gotten much or if any tips. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys right back here.